The last administration has been caricatured as having gone in for an awful lot of what gets called redistribution by stealth. So they brought in an awful lot of policies which were designed to lift pensioners and children, families with children out of poverty. So things like pension credit, working families tax credit, were all about boosting the incomes of pensioners and families with children who were below the poverty line. And that was highly successful. So if you look at the actual statistics about poverty, you will see that the number of pensioners in poverty and the number of families with children in poverty have gone down. What they didn't do was enable the living standards of working age adults who weren't in the workforce to keep pace with average earnings at all. So there's been a massive decline, relative decline in the purchasing power of adults as opposed to the basic economic position of the rest of society. And there's also, the 60% poverty line is an arbitrary measure, and people have adopted other measures to give a different perspective on the success of government policy. And another measure that's looked at is the 40% line, so people who are living on less than 40% of average earnings. And that has been a line that seems to be stubbornly resistant to change. So what you see is a group of people who are living on incredibly low incomes, who are still living on incredibly low incomes. And the reasons for that, I think, are very complicated. What I think sits alongside that analysis is the idea that poverty is not a permanent state of affairs. So there is a need for policy that focuses in terms that are broader than income on why it is that some people remain very poor for a very long time. And I think that that's an utterly appropriate policy response. Where I get nervous is if we equate poverty with an individual or a community's lack of capacity. Actually, that doesn't sit with a picture of poverty which shows that it's something that lots of people will experience at points during their life. And I think it very quickly becomes stigmatising. And it very quickly becomes about why communities or people are feckless and how we need to change their behaviour. What I think is that we need much firmer safety nets which protect people against shocks, protect people against changes in their lives which we know can create poverty and very swiftly translate what is a temporary vulnerability into a much more permanent state of affairs. So if you are somebody who has what in Oxfam language we would call a low asset base, so you don't have savings, you don't own your own home, you may not have a very high level of educational skill, it can be much harder for you to recover from the sort of shock that most people experience than it is for somebody who has a family who can loan them money, a house that they can borrow against, an education which enables it to find it much easier to get employment, or health, which means it's much easier for them to get the sort of work that's available. And one of the frameworks that Oxfam uses to think about poverty is what we call a sustainable livelihoods analysis, which is basically saying it's not just about income. It is about income, but if you think about what it is that enables people to recover from the shocks, which can be simple things that you would hope to have happen in life, like a change in job or starting a family, but it can also be much more negative things like a failure in your health or bereavement, then it is about what resources people have to draw on that enable them to cope with those shocks. And if you're actually thinking about geographical poverty or communities which are poor, you can see that what you often have is, we increasingly have in the UK, is a much more segregated geography. We have higher concentrations of people who are like each other living near each other. So you have more poor areas and more less poor areas. And what that means is, in terms of the resources that people have to draw on, they've got the resources of people who are in a similar position to them that they can draw on in terms of what's available within their community. So I think solutions to poverty are complex. I think it's right to look beyond income. I think we need to look at things like asset bases, health, education. The data on health inequalities is absolutely shocking. But that's not the same as saying that income redistribution is not in itself very important, because income is a cause of an awful lot of other problems, as well as being the result of other factors in people's lives.